Suitcasegate. Boxes being pulled from under a table in Georgia. Ballots are pulled out, no observers in sight, and people start counting. Why? What are they doing? Why are they doing it? And where do these ballots come from? Suspicious activity, no doubt. And Giuliani said this is the smoking gun. But fear not, good citizens. The fact checkers are here to make sure we know that it's all total BS. First, you may have seen lead stories with a great fact check. Video from Georgia does not show suitcases filled with ballots suspiciously pulled from under a table. Poll watchers were not told to leave. Thank you, Lead Stories, NewsGuard certified fact-checking organization, for pumping out complete and total BS, because this story has now been debunked by a debunk trying to debunk the debunk. No. That last one didn't make sense. Lead Stories tried claiming that this video, this bombshell video showing workers pulling ballots from underneath a table and then counting them after they told everyone to leave, they tried saying it never happened. They lied. You see, the first thing I'm going to tell you, we have with this video, we have a lot of questions. Who told the observers to go home? Why did they start counting again after they told people to go home? And why didn't they say, we can't, we told the observers to go home? No, they started counting. There was no one else there. Here's the truth. They pulled ballot boxes out from under a table. So you see how Lead Stories plays the game? They say video from Georgia does not show suitcases filled with ballots suspiciously pulled from under a table. Well, that's a true and accurate statement. I could say video from Georgia does not show crates of ballots being pulled out from under a table. That's right. They were in sealed ballot boxes. Now, the question is why? Some of the quotes they got in this fact check say that they were originally placed in the boxes, sealed, and then placed next to the table. Also a lie. They were placed under the table. My friends, poll watchers were told to leave because now we have this ever so hilarious actual fact check from WSB TV 2. Georgia election officials show frame by frame what happened in Fulton surveillance video. You know what the craziest thing is? It's almost like you can show someone robbing a bank, and so long as you call it a fact check and say, everything's fine, the men who come into the building are simply requesting money, and they happen to have been armed. The clerks you can then see are handing them the money, and then the men leave. That's it. That's what they do. In this video, we now get confirmation. The poll workers, the observers who are there to scrutinize the ballot counting process were told to leave. The workers did pull boxes out from under a table and then begin counting ballots with not even a state monitor present. There was a 1 hour gap where we don't know what they were doing. And that seriously calls things into question because there's a reason why there are state poll watchers. Not there. 1 hour gap confirming what we all saw in the video. Boxes of ballots pulled out from underneath, opened up, counted after everyone was told to go home, and there is a gap where no one is observing. Now, what is true is that earlier in the day, you can see in this video that there were empty ballot boxes. They put ballots in them and then seal the boxes. The official explanation is they thought they were going home. The big question then is, what's up with these fake fact checks trying to debunk these stories when in fact, this was completely fake news the whole time? You see, that's what they do. Lead Stories is probably the most egregious offender. Are they going to get this story from December 3rd is completely factually inaccurate. We now have very serious questions about what happened. So to put it mildly, in an attempt to debunk the story, they had no choice but to step it up, go further, and do a frame by frame, confirming the fears of many of the people who are watching this video. Dare I say, they did the opposite of debunk it. Here's the story. Georgia election officials show frame by frame. For the third time, counties across Georgia have certified votes from November's presidential election. The outcome is not expected to change, but legal challenges are still underway. One involves a video from State Farm Arena that has since gone viral. President Trump's lawyers and other supporters call it the smoking gun, proving election fraud. Channel 2 investigative reporter Justin Gray spent the day with Georgia election officials going through the video frame by frame to show everyone what really happened. Oh, okay, thank you. What really happened? Gray looked not at just the short clip the Trump campaign shared, but the critical hours before and after the clip as well. Mind you, This was actually all stated by the Trump campaign. This is not new information other than they're confirming what the complaint was in the first place. State election investigators have already spent hours analyzing the video showing what Trump's personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, said was suitcases being pulled from under a table. They were, in fact, official sealed ballot containers. Okay, first of all, yes, Rudy Giuliani, you made a mistake calling them suitcases. That's how they got you. You tripped up in a semantic argument. The question is, why are they pulling the ballots back out and counting them with no one there? Look, I'm a reasonable guy, right? A lot of people were concerned this was ballot stuffing, that these were like pre-printed ballots being pulled out when no one was watching. That doesn't seem to be the case. What seems to be the case now, or I should say the clarification we got, so thank you, is that they were just counting with no state observers and no partisan observers. Exactly the principal complaint. No. Again, a lot of people, and myself included, thought, what are these ballots? Where did they come from? And why are they counting them after telling everyone to go home? And why are these fact-checking sites saying it never happened? It all happened. But thank you for giving us information on where these ballots come from. You can watch people put the ballots in the box. That doesn't mean anything to me because I still don't know what those ballots are and no one observed them. So what we do know is after everyone was told to leave, they suspiciously pull boxes out from under a bin, under a table, and start counting them with nobody around to watch. Look, you have one of the most hyper-polarized times in our history with one of the most, Trump's been railing on fraud forever. And they should have said, we told everyone to leave, we can't do this. Here's what they say. Quote, we can show exactly when they were placed there, lead investigator Francis Watson said. But that doesn't mean anything to anybody. That wasn't the complaint in the first place. We know they were placed there at some point. Watson said they weren't mystery ballots that came from a mystery location. Video taken hours before shows the table being brought into the room at 8:22 a.m. Nothing was underneath the table. That was pointed out by the attorney who showed the video in the first place, saying these are the people who put the tables there. At 10 p.m., with the room full of people, including official monitors and the media, video shows ballots that had already been opened but not counted, placed in the boxes, sealed up and stored under the table. The reason? Employees thought they were done for the night. They were closing things up and getting ready to leave. Whoa. Hot dog, baby. What's that? Poll watchers were not told to leave? Oh, okay. So when the vote counters walk up to the people, say something, and the people all leave, and then now we're being told they were closing up for the night. You mean to tell me that wasn't true? Ladies and gentlemen, take a look at this. Poll watchers were not told to leave. Lead stories. Now I want to show you from ABC News Politics. This tweet is going viral from over 1 month ago. 11:34 p.m., November 3rd. The election department sent the ballot counters at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta home at 10:30 p.m. Regina Waller, the Fulton County Public Affairs Manager for Elections, tells ABC News. That's right. This is a fake fact check. Why? I don't know. They're trying to discredit this claim in this video without actually doing any real verification of what's going on. We were told on November 3rd that counting had stopped. When ABC made a public declaration, they reported the news. We've been reported and nobody's counting. And then they got a phone call. Start counting again. What were they doing and why? Well, now we have some accusations flying around that, check this out, from Kyle Becker. Election workers running through the same mail-in ballots 2 to 3 times. Some say up to 7 or 8 times. We've heard witnesses issue sworn affidavits attesting to the kind of behavior that seems to be going on in the state vote farm video below. From Kanakawa, Georgia, not only did election officials lie about the pipe burst, send observers away, pull out hidden ballots, and continue counting in secret, they also scanned the same stack of ballots 3 times in a row. Now, I watched the video several times. It does appear the woman puts the ballots in the machine. Then there's, time lapse of something happening. She picks them up, shakes them around, and then puts them right back on the machine 3 times. I don't know what that means. People are saying that they counted the votes 3 times. I don't know. And that's the problem. That is the problem. There is doubt, and people are saying this is in dispute. Why? They said a pipe burst. It didn't. They said they sent people home. They didn't. They did send home the people who are supposed to watch and scrutinize. The kind of people, state officials even, who would have said, whoa, you're counting the same stack twice. What are you doing? You can't do that. Oops, sorry. Not there. Now, I'm not saying it's a grand conspiracy. I'm saying that if you've got a person whose job is a security guard at a venue. I'll put it this way. I used to work for a venue. This is probably 13 years ago. And you weren't allowed to smoke in the building, right? It's Chicago. Well, when the security guard went to the bathroom, some people who just didn't know or didn't care just would light up a cigarette. And then when the security guard would come back, they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, no, we missed that. We weren't here. So typically they try to have multiple guards all looking at the crowd at the same time. That way no one ever leaves, because sometimes these things happen. How about with no observers present, these people made a mistake and didn't realize. Maybe she thought it didn't count properly, and so she loaded them up 3 times. Maybe the machine can't count the same ballots 3 times because they have some kind of serial number or something like that. Honestly, I don't know. And that's the big problem. At a time when we were extremely hyperpolarized, you now have people scrutinizing the video saying you can see her scan it several times. People are pointing out saying that's the complaint we have. These ballots were pulled out from under a table in sealed boxes. The seals were broken. The observers were gone. And therein lies the big problem. They say they were closing things up and ready to leave. Here's where the confusion comes in. Media and observers left as employees packed up. Boom. Poll watchers were not told to leave. They are lying to us. This is a Facebook certified fact checker. They have flagged these stories so that you can't share them. So it deranks your channel. On Facebook, if you share too much fake news, Facebook stops allowing people to see your content. You see what they do? They're lying. And then we get the actual fact check. Fulton's election director called the supervisor at State Farm a few minutes later, telling them to keep counting after the Secretary of State's office called and said they shouldn't stop counting for the night so early. Ladies and gentlemen, poll workers were told to close up. They told all the observers to leave as per sworn affidavits, and then got a call saying, good, now start counting again. I don't care what the reason was. They called them up and said, close it up, kick them out, now start counting again. Why did they do it? In fact, in this story from WSB TV Atlanta, the reporter says, now there was a period for an hour where there were no observers or state monitors present. Done. That's a violation of the election code as far as I understand it, that the state is supposed to have their watchers there. So why did they tell them to leave? After that call, employees pulled the containers of ballots back out and went back to work. No magically appearing ballots, Gabriel Sterling with the Secretary of State's office said. These were ballots that were processed in front of the monitors, monitors and placed there in front of the monitors, and then counted with no one watching and maybe run through the machine several times. Maybe it's not possible. When I heard it ran through the machine several times, I said, look, I have to imagine there's some kind of unique component to the ballots, right? So the machine tabulates them and has a unique identifier for what that ballot is. If it's true that the machine's just, you can put the same ballot in 50 times and it just says Biden, 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 Biden. Well, then these are really, really bad machines. And if that's the case, because I don't know, well, we got a serious problem. This means right now, we're going to need a forensic analysis on the machines. We're going to need a detailed breakdown of the proprietary software to know whether or not ballots can be counted multiple times. And I know many people are probably saying, dude, of course they can't do that. No, okay, then you need to publish that, because people right now are going nuts with these viral stories saying, look what they're doing. And we need clarity. They say that there's about 6,000 ballots per box. About 6,000 ballots. There's this big argument happening on Twitter. They say it's like, it weighs hundreds of pounds. No, it doesn't. 6,000? You get like a stack of paper it's like 1,000 sheets and it weighs a couple pounds. So you have a bunch of these boxes, probably a little heavy, but 4 boxes, 6,000 votes. We're looking at around 24,000 votes, which is what people are ultimately concerned about, because at around 12:30 or so a.m., that's how many votes came in for Joe Biden. So imagine this. With no people present to observe what they're doing, they maybe just ran the Biden votes. No idea. How would we ever know? We just see a grainy video where you can see they're doing something and there's no legal observers or monitors. They say, so what about the time gap between when the media and observers left and the observers returned about an hour later? Employees scanned ballots. Fact. These are just typical everyday election workers. These are just typical everyday election workers just doing their job, Sterling said. This is not some Ocean's 11 level scheme being put together in the middle of the night. That is the lie. Now, I jokingly said that Donald Trump got Ocean's 11. What I mean by that is the plan for Democrats to win was set up months or year plus in advance. Act 77, no excuse mail-in voting in Pennsylvania, was signed into law October of 2019. They try to trick you by saying there's no grand conspiracy or widespread fraud. There's no Ocean's 11 style scheme going on. And it could be one person who hates Donald Trump and has Trump derangement syndrome. And now that you've kicked the observers out, you've given them carte blanche, 1 hour to go as fast as they can to crank out all those Biden votes. I got to be honest. I'm not convinced that's what's happened. I need evidence to prove it. What I can tell you is I don't like being lied to. These fake news fact checkers are full of it. And we created a security lapse. And we, at a time when we are so hyperpolarized, you have contested the results. And it's your fault, not the Trump supporters. They now have grounds to say, F no, no way. We are not giving you an inch. And they shouldn't. This has got to be done by the book. They say there was about an hour that workers scanned ballots before a state monitor arrived. But video shows those moments. The monitor then observed counting until they stopped for the night. The lead election investigator has looked at all that video and said she saw no evidence of any wrongdoing. Perhaps that's the case. Perhaps this is incorrect. Someone's scanning a ballot 2 or 3 times. Maybe she put the stack on the machine and it started feeding in the ballots and then it said error, could not process. And she was and she put them back in and that's it. That's it. Okay. Well, based on this and based on the fervor and the fear, I think we should have a forensic analysis on those machines to make sure that we didn't have the same numbers come in 3 times in a row. Because if you have a batch of ballots, a stack, let's say it's 400 or so ballots or whatever that go through the machine, and it's 300 Biden, 100 Trump. We would then see 300 Biden, 100 Trump, the next scan, 300 Biden, 100 Trump, the next scan, 300 Biden, you get the point. So we're going to need a forensic analysis, and I think that's a fair point. I can't believe how the Democrats are fighting so hard to make sure we don't do this. That scares me. If we don't, look, I'm not saying Trump won, not at all. Let's say that Trump truly lost. It's all over. This is just nonsense. People are freaking out. Let's say they don't do an analysis to break down and prove and provide the documents and show people, here's the machine, here's the analysis, here's an independent third party. No one on the right's going to believe it. And you will guarantee that we will go through the next period of people believing that Trump did not lose, as they do already now. You need to do everything you can to calm people down. We are a constitutional republic where the individuals have rights. And that means, I when I was talking to Destiny on the IRL show, I said, let's do an investigation. He said, don't you think people are tired of investigations and things like that? And I'm like, I don't care. I really don't. I roll my eyes at the thought of Russiagate and another Russiagate style thing, but you have to, because we fight with each other. We have disputes and we have to recognize a certain standard. Yup. We're going to do another hearing and another investigation. And one side's going to say it's so dumb. And we do that because we don't want people burning everything to the ground. Now, Russiagate was stupid, fake news. People won awards for it and it was trash. We can't do a simple investigation here. Mike Cernovich tweeted, according to an earlier fact check, no one was told to leave. In fact, that's what happened. How is this an official Facebook fact checker? It's a good question. Facebook has given special powers to fake news outlets. Lead stories writes fake news. They look at this. Did they just make this up? Poll watchers were not told to leave. That's fabricated. That's just, we've literally got ABC News from November 3rd. They make it up. And then they derank, they block, they ban, they shadow ban anybody who dares oppose the fake news. It's all the proof you needed. Trump is filing a lawsuit in Georgia, challenging the election results. Biden won Georgia by a slim 12,670 vote margin. It's extremely possible Trump can flip 12,000 votes, especially at this point. When you see that there's around 24,000 or so votes between those 4 boxes, we're now looking at an amount of votes that could have changed the outcome of the election. Bill Barr said, to date, we have not seen evidence of voter fraud to the extent that it would have changed the outcome of the election. Paraphrasing, it's not an exact quote, but essentially that's what he said. However, he went on to say that many of the claims brought forward by Trump and others are for civil litigation, not criminal. Impropriety, for instance, no observers. That's not fraud necessarily. Now, maybe they had intent, but that's not what Bill Barr does. Right now, what we see with these people counting these ballots probably will not fall under Bill Barr's jurisdiction because the argument is impropriety. Unless you can prove criminal intent, it's not a criminal matter. It's, oopsie, we told everyone to leave and then counted. Now, it may be a violation of the state election code, which brings this to civil court, where Trump could say, all that matters is 24,000 ballots were counted with no, we don't know at what point how many were counted before the state observer returned. Therefore, this batch of ballots are called into question. That's a good point. In PA, Giuliani and Trump argued that we got 700,000 votes. There was no observers present. And then the judge said, well, they were in the building, right? They couldn't see any of the votes, but they were in the building, right? Okay, you're fine. Completely insane. You need people to sit there, 3 people, the vote counter, and then partisans. Maybe 4, maybe Democrat, Republican, and independent. And then you watch, and then there's scrutiny, and there's challenges. And we don't have that. I have to ask why that's the case. Real Clear Investigations notes, a curious thing happened as Fulton County election officials counted mail-in ballots at the State Farm Arena in the days before the election. In the early hours of November 5th, a surge of some 20,000 mail-in votes suddenly appeared for Joe Biden, while approximately 1,000 votes for Trump mysteriously disappeared from his own totals in the critical swing state, where Biden holds a razor-thin lead. That right there flipped the election, for whatever reason. Now, it could be that all of this is normal, completely normal, nothing crazy happened. So then why lie about it? Why lie? It could be that Trump supporters are looking for any and any excuse and suspicious of everything. Okay, they're allowed to be. They're allowed to challenge the elections. They're allowed to file lawsuits, and and it's their right to get appropriate answers from the institutions that serve them. The Republican apparatus of Georgia state and the political systems of these states serve the people, and the people sometimes dispute, particularly in elections, which means if they come forward and say, I contest this, done, agreed, okay, because we work for you. We're not a direct democracy. We're a constitutional republic, and that means the individual has rights. And if one person came forward, in my opinion, and said, I want a forensic analysis, I think the answer should be yes. In fact, I think there should be a hard forensic analysis resolving any and all elections in every state and every county after they have the full numbers. And it should be done in public with people watching by a third party. And then they hand the results. You know, they show the results and they say, here we go. Please, everyone, verify what we're seeing to confirm we agree. Because I'll tell you this. If they did and they printed something out and then they gave a copy to every person, I know what the Republican poll watchers would do, the Republican observers. They'd look at it and say, okay, you know how I know that? Because when the observers actually were challenging ballots, Trump supporters would challenge ballots, but then also say, that's for Biden. Yeah, okay. There's you know, you have grounds for challenge sometimes, and sometimes you don't, and they accepted that. And the Biden people did too. We need more scrutiny, not less. More security, not less. My bigger complaint with all this is how the fake news lies. And let me wrap it up with what I was saying in the beginning. This video, Georgia election officials show frame by frame what happened in Fulton, is not debunking the story. It confirmed it. But by simply just saying it debunked it, that's the name of the game. So here's how we play it. The dry concern, first and foremost, is people saying, where did these votes come from? What are these? They thought it was ballot stuffing. I did too. Evidence of ballot stuffing. Evidence as in a sign or indication of something may be happening. That's still the case, but not for the reason we thought. Okay, at first we were like, where did these ballots come from? That was the concern. They've confirmed they were part of the normal process, put in, sealed, and put away. The concern still exists that there was ballot stuffing because we don't know what these people were doing. It looks normal, sure, but we don't know because no one was there. And the problem still exists. So they've essentially confirmed it. And I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 1 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all then.